Melissa.
All right, you're all set.
All right. Now, am I gonna see when they're in the waiting room now, or am I gonna?
Yep. Yeah,
now
you
that
have
I'm the
most
host, it
ability
will just
now.
show up there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, all right.
All right, have a good evening.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, we're all here. No, Lauren's not here yet. All right, I need just right now. I'm not gonna do like. All right, Maureen is going to join us. Hi, Pat. So let's wait for her. So Pat and Melissa, you guys taking a breather today?
Yes, for sure.
All right. Hi, Maureen.
Oh, Pat, you're muted. Okay.
All right, well, Lauren thought she would join us, but let's go ahead and get started. Assuming she might be a little late. All right,
Can anybody hear me?
yes, you're a little
Yep.
shaky.
Because you're all my picture is very, not clear at all, and you're all very staticky.
I think the problem is
Yeah.
yours, Maureen. I
I'm
think
gonna
the
drop
problem
off
is
and
at your
try
end,
again.
because everybody else looks good. And you look
I
shaky.
can't understand much of you.
You are having the problem at your end.
I think so, yeah.
Oop. I guess I insulted her. She's gone.
Probably restarting.
Yes, no, I know.
The internet is quite finicky right now.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, Lauren's here. Okay. Hi, Lauren. You're muted.
There we go. How are you?
Good. And we had Maureen on for a minute, but she's off trying to get a better connection, so. But let's go ahead and get
All right,
started.
sounds good.
This is the Open Space Committee meeting on October 19th, 2023. We have a quorum. Members present are Michael Sylvia, Eileen Heine, Lauren Webb, and that constitutes a quorum, and we're awaiting Maureen Manasian. Nicole contacted me to say that she would not be able to make it tonight. All right, here comes Maureen. Unmute, Maureen, please.
That's much better.
Yes, yes.
That's way better. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Sorry. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Just was miserable.
All right, we have a quorum. I've already announced, even without you, but we're glad you're here. So, the meeting minutes, before I ask you to approve them, I'm going to amend them because I saw a problem on the item about the second page, the Conservation Commission review of the Lake Nip proposal. I've got an extra word in there. The word agreed needs to be deleted. So it will just state that the Open Space Committee will submit comments to the Conservation Commission. And I also need to add an S to the word complete in the sentence before that. So I don't know if anybody else caught that, but I did. So is there a motion to approve the minutes as I just amended them?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. All those in favor, Michael? All right,
I,
okay, they are approved. Okay, we have two members of the public with us, Melissa Ramadetta and Pat Neary. This section of the agenda is reserved for any comments that anybody might have for items that are not otherwise on the agenda. And I expect that neither of you have such comments. Pat, Melissa? So-
I just want to ask you if you stayed on that meeting last night where they discussed the Wildlands Trust and the, what is it, the Jenny Leonard Park?
I did not stay on. I saw you email, yeah, okay, so this is at the planning board meeting after the discussion about the Lake Nip project was over. I
Right.
left, I got off. You mentioned in your email about Jenny Leonard, and I have heard about them dealing with that before. Is there anything particular that I should go back and listen to, or?
I
That's I know that we looked at that property a long time ago. We got comments when we first became a committee about trying to do something with that. It's over off of Cherry Street. And it's basically now it's kind of subsumed by that whole huge development that's gone in. And I know the planning board was gotten involved because some of the neighbors, some of the residents were unhappy with the parking or the slope of the park. Even before anything was done with the park, they were unhappy with whatever was going on, and somebody was unhappy with it was going to bring a lot of people into the neighborhood, that their children weren't going to be safe, and there was anyway, I just decided to let them deal with that and was not going to look at it as an open space concern. And I assume that's what they're still dealing with, but I will go back and listen to the planning board discussion, having brought it to my attention.
Okay.
Pat, but I don't know what you're referring to about the Wildlands Trust property per se, or issues.
or maybe it was a different trust. I was half listening, but I wasn't
Okay.
fam-
All right.
wasn't familiar with it at all. So
All right, well, I'll take a listen, but I know Wildlands Trust is working on an acquisition along the Taunton River on the other side of that big development, the one with no trees. On one end is the Jenny Leonard Park, which has been there for long time. It was gifted by some family to the town long before that development was a figment in anybody's imagination, I think. And but Wildlands Trust has been working to gain a conservation easement along a significant border of the river. And the river's the other side of that development, the other end of the development from the Jenny Leonard Park. So, and I am familiar with that. I've talked with the Wildlands Trust people about it. We're not involved in it as a committee. He's working, the Wildlands Trust is dealing with the owner, the property owner, the developer, to get that set aside, so. But thank you for bringing those to my attention, Pat. Okay, let's move on to old business, Wyman Meadow. So at the last meeting, I said that the work on the trails and the bog boards and bridges would be delayed, but actually it was, but it's almost done now. I got a call from Owen last week sometime, and he said they had moved things up. They've gotten some other projects done, and anyway, I went out there today. He was out with one other person. They were going to start. I don't know what they were doing out there actually today, but they were going to be out there all afternoon. They only had two of them, and they had a photographer who wanted to take some pictures for some of their publications. And so I went out, got my picture taken with Owen, and they were taking pictures of what the bog board is already in, the bridge is already in. And what they did is they changed their approach from what we discussed at our meeting last month. At that time, I mentioned that we were gonna be asked to have town volunteers who could assist with the trail clearing, because they would use their own, very experienced builders to do the bog boards and the span bridge. But now they had a retreat and they've kind of revamped how they want to do different projects, and they've decided to stick with their own volunteers for the trail clearing as well. They just feel more comfortable with the people that they've worked with, and they know who will show up. They know if they've got a team assigned for a particular day, as opposed to just wondering who will show up from a group of volunteers that we don't know, that we haven't contacted yet. So they're gonna go ahead and start work on that. And I think they are gonna try to talk with the man in the neighborhood. I can't remember, David, Michael, do you remember his name? David Brown, was it? There is one person right at the end of that driveway, that approach, who's very, very interested in this, and he goes out and talks with Owen on a regular basis, and they're probably gonna get him involved in helping with the trail clearing. But it's just all moving right ahead, so it's kind of exciting. So, and I have been keeping John Hart involved. He specifically asked me to make sure that he's in the loop on this, because he's quite eager to start working with them also on seeing what kind of towns he can put on the town part of that property out there. So he was even talking about possibly maybe taking that fence down, that fence that goes up to the water department building, so that people would have better access. I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, he's very enthused about it too, so I think that's gonna go well. And the one thing I asked Owen to start working on next is signage, for them to go ahead and they're happy to have their people start doing some design work. And then we'll just have to figure out how to integrate the town part of it. You'll probably put the town logo on something, and then we have two different sets of rules, but hopefully they kind of cover the same areas. We just have to integrate those, and and they'll get them printed up, and I assume they'll do whatever it takes to get them up on the kiosk and out at the street. And so anyway, that's moving. I think at some point we should decide, we should think about some way of announcing it to the town. I'd like to, I don't know whether it's, I'm wary of inviting people out for an open house just because of the limited parking. But it seems like we could do some sort of an invitation list or something, and try to have something on some weekday or whatever. Wildlands Trust is great doing those sort of parties and stuff too. I'm sure they could help us plan something. So anyway, any questions about that?
Is it? Yeah, is this the type of thing that could get onto like a town council agenda, like as a notification that
Yeah.
like there's been this nice collaboration?
Yes, I think so, Lauren. Yeah.
Because that would get the word out to more people
Right,
too.
yeah. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. And
Or like the town, I mean, I know we've had all the issues with the website, but like they should put like a news item or something on the website too.
Yes. So just before you got on, I was talking to Josh. Yeah, because Josh actually is, he was telling me.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, he was hoping before today's meeting that he would actually have the links to the parks on the Parks and Recreation site. He told me today he did it.
Oh,
for the
yay.
meeting, yes. But then at the last minute, he went to do it and he didn't have access. So he discovered that
All right.
that he didn't have the access he thought he had to, because it's Parks and Rec versus, even though he has access for all the other town committees, he didn't have that. So he's gonna try again tomorrow. But he also was just saying, when Mike and I were just on with them, and just to keep letting them know anything we want to do like that, and that if we wanted to put something on the front page of the town website, that we ought to be able to do that, you know, that he could put an announcement of something, you know.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. And then I also, your name.
Yeah,
came up
great.
Because I said, you know, that you had done some posting when we needed new members, that was successful. And so that I could rely on you and Michael and, to do whatever social media announcements, we might want to do, but Jeff,
Yeah,
he said he could do those too. Josh said he could do those too. He can do posts.
Okay.
do Media post, you know, posts for us, at least on the town and stuff, town web pages, so, and the town has its own.
Yeah.
Facebook page and stuff, so.
yeah, I don't know what their rules are for posting on that like Bridgewater residence site, but I'm happy, like, I don't know, Mike, if you have like a image or something, like a nice graphic, we could put that on like different sites.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We can totally do that. The other thing too is if we see a good amount of traction, it might be worth it to consider creating a Bridgewater open space page on the on Facebook that we would obviously have an administrator through the town, so like through a town email, and then we can be given privileges and access. That way, obviously, it gives, you know, if they need to take it down for any reason or whatever they can. But yeah, we could always go that route too and share as the entity itself rather than our individual selves representing the open space committee.
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. The only concern I have about that is just keeping it populated with information is kind of an ongoing task. I mean, as opposed, you know, I mean, you put something on Facebook, you have to constantly be updating it for it to be of any use. And that's, yeah, we'll just have to, I don't know who would be doing that. I don't want to be doing it, I know. But we wouldn't have to necessarily keep updating it like every week, every month or whatever. We can do it on an ad hoc basis and potentially giving to Josh the meeting minutes or something like that could be posted. If they have access, they could post that up for us. So then there's and even the link to the meeting recording and stuff, because that's available. The town makes those available too, but like, I don't know if anybody gets the buzz around Bridgewater, but
yes,
so the open space committee was on that, and like within I think our September meeting, there was a link right within Buzz. It showed, I think it showed me, and it showed the link to the open space committee. They're putting more and more of the town meetings in the Buzz with the link, which is good. So that's, but we could do that too, like on Facebook, right?
great.
Yeah, but I think Lauren, maybe you had suggested at one point too, you know, having some kind of a feature for each park. It's so, you know, we could come up with, I mean, even just photos, you know, like the foliage at Carver Pond today was absolutely spectacular.
Yeah. I was just thinking like if we did move forward on a Facebook group for open space, one way that we could like keep content coming without us having to like come up with stuff is to like say, send us your pictures and we'll feature them. And so it's a way for people who are out taking pictures of where they're hiking or walking their dogs or whatever.
Yeah, and they could share it themselves without having to.
Be much easier than.
Yeah, and they could share it themselves too, having us post it as well. So that organically works really well.
All right, so that's a great idea. So it sounds like we could probably go ahead and start this, right?
Yeah, we would just have to connect with somebody to, like I said, probably get somebody with a bridgewater.org email so that they can, for transparency reasons on Facebook, because they show who created it, when they created it, and stuff like that. So that way it's kind of in a more official capacity, and it's not, you know, so people can trust it. Yeah, we could definitely do that. That's very simple. And I think if you tell I'm sorry, if you tell Josh that you want to do that, I'm sure he can do it very easily for you.
Okay,
And then just give you access and
Alright.
administrative access
okay.
for it.
Yep. All right, and if I do that, I'm going to be asking either Mike or Lauren to be the person on
Admin.
the committee that does that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Alright,
can
fine
keep an
with
eye
that.
on it.
Yeah.
Um,
So you can have multiple people be administrators.
Yes,
Are you
Yeah.
going to have them, put a little, like intro, what each park is, where it is, what you'd find there, what's its history? That sort
well,
of,
we don't know yet what we'll put up there. I mean, that's exactly what is supposed to be going, that's what we do have on the open space page on the town website right now, is that link to the parks. Oh, okay, Mike, yeah, no, we won't, we can talk about the content of the Facebook page in over time, so, and the other thing we were talking about, Maureen, was getting, I don't know if you were on when I said that Josh is getting the link to the parks info that we have on the Open Space Committee website on the Parks and Rec website, finally,
oh,
under
okay.
parks. So when you click on parks, you don't pull up the Scotland golf course and the
Yeah.
softball fields, that you actually get parks, and
That would be good.
yeah.
I mean,
that's-
if you wanted to, for a start, I could go around to different parts and take pictures, to
Well,
get.
Yeah, that'd
Lauren
be
did
great.
that. Yeah, Lauren already did that.
Well, I did it to some, but I mean, I think it's worth taking some new ones, and especially with Wyman met, like, to have the
Yes,
new
yeah, Lyman
fogboards
Meadows, yeah.
and
Yeah, we need all new stuff for Lyman Meadows would be great, yeah. And
yeah,
then as we're saying, we want to put up some
exactly.
seasonal stuff and, yeah. So, yeah, I think, yeah. you can take
Well,
it.
if you do want, just let me know what ones you want pictures of them.
Okay,
And
all right,
I can go and take photos.
yeah, great. All right, sounds like wasn't on the agenda, but we got a new item of business here, so, okay. All right. So that's the trail work update, on Lyman Meadows. The other thing, as I mentioned at our last meeting, that Wildlands Trust had absorbed all of the costs for labor for this project, and that they had built the bog boards already, and that they were asking that the town reimburse them for the costs of the span bridge, which the materials of which they expected would be less than $600. And I put that in the minutes. And then I happened to I was on another call. Oh, I listened in on the tree committee meeting from last week. And they were talking about issues of getting the town to pay for some trees. And one of the things that the town staff person pointed out is that the committee should have a resolution approving the payment. So nobody's told me this yet, that we have to have this, but I think what I want is to have us vote on paying that, that the town, we recommend that the town reimburse Wildlands Trust for the materials expenses related to the span bridge at Lyman Meadows. So if somebody would make that motion.
I'll make a motion that
All
the
right,
town pay for it. Well, what does you have to suggest they pay for it?
I just recommend that the town
Yeah,
reimburse,
pay for
and actually, yeah, it's pay or reimburse
Yeah,
Wildlands Trust for the materials up to $600.
sure.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all right, and I approve, and Mike has stepped off for a moment. Well, I'll wait till he comes back to finalize that, but no, never mind. All right, we've got to vote. Well, I'll ask him when he comes back, but
Mhm.
we got it. All right. So I'm gonna submit that to Bob Rulich. I already gave him the invoice that, the estimate that, Owen had given me last week, but I haven't heard back anything from it. And actually, the price has gone down since then. They ended up not having to pay quite as much, so it's gonna be less than $600. I think it's not even 400 at this point, so. Okay. All right, the tree committee meeting report. Pat,
Yes,
Pat, I don't know if you heard me say Nicole can't be on the call, but I think she wasn't at the tree committee meeting anyway, right? Right. So is there anything you can tell us or want to tell us about what went on there? And you're muted.
no, am I okay?
No, you're okay, yep.
Uh, there was a lot of discussion about where they're going to be putting trees in town, and Shirley Kozinski and I we're on the tree committee as well as the Bridgewater Improvement Association. So we had driven around to look at municipal locations where trees could be located, but primarily the trees that we were placing are those Herbie trees, which is, the elm trees that got killed years ago. And now there's a hybrid that's being grown up in Maine, and
Oh.
people are buying those because they're disease resistant.
And what's
So-
it called, Herbie?
Herbie, I don't know the history of that name. It's probably the that did the hybrid.
Right, yeah,
But we discussed that quite a bit. And there again, as you said, they discussed the money for different expenses that the tree committee might have. So there wasn't a lot of new information at that meeting. We did discuss that those trees over on Crescent Street, I think it's a relatively new homeowner cut down 4 trees that were right on the street,
yeah,
not realizing that they're probably town-owned trees.
mhm,
You can't just do that, but people don't know that. So
yeah,
we're going to try to get information out to the public somehow so that they won't be doing that, simply because, more solar is going to be coming along and people are removing trees to save their energy bills. And it's just kind of a nightmare because nobody knows that they have to get clearance or get permission and there is no real process. We have to establish a process.
yeah,
For example, people have to know if they have to fill out a form and who to give it to get an okay. Yes, you can take down that town tree, or I'm sure they don't want to encourage too much of that because the town would have to take down their own tree at their expense.
yeah.
So it's kind of a puzzle.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
But-
I saw those trees coming down. I mean, that's almost directly across from my house. And,
Huh,
I didn't know. I honestly, I've heard it enough. I guess it should have registered, but it didn't occur to me that those might have been town trees and that they needed permission to do that.
right.
I've walked by the house since then and I have to wonder, yes, they put it, like, presumably they did it because they put solar on the house. I don't
Right.
remember whether those trees were in good condition or whether, they might have been in marginal condition, but my thought was that I wonder, does somebody, when they're getting the estimate of what they're gonna save, are they taking into account that they're gonna pay more for air conditioning in the summer if they don't have any shade?
That's true.
And if they didn't take them down, and
Well, there again, it's not just the homeowner, the tree people need to know, that somebody has to get permission
yeah, yeah,
or find out if it is a town tree or
yeah,
a private tree. So it's
Yeah.
really kind of a tricky situation.
Yeah.
That's pretty much I think that we discussed. I can't really remember.
okay. one of the things that came up, well, I'll get to it in, we talk about the, Lake Nip proposal, but at the planning board hearing, the proponent is now, after hearing it from so many people, they're proposing to cut down 4 to 5 acres over there to build this hotel. And they say they've now listened to the town and the citizens, and so they're gonna identify 10 to 15 or 10 to 20 trees that they can save.
Out of 4 acres.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
it isn't funny, Pat. It brings tears to your eyes, I know.
I can
I'm
see
glad you're laughing.
me over there protesting.
Yeah, so, but I just came across a note about something, I don't know where I saw this, it had something to do with what the tree committee was looking at a long time ago, maybe it was when Nicole was talking about it on the open space committee, is that, I think it was some town, I don't know if it was Cambridge or somewhere, where they demand compensation from developers for any trees over a certain caliber that are taken down. Like, they have
Right.
to pay, you know,
Right.
so, be great.
We're working on a formula for that,
for
but
that, yeah, okay,
there again, I don't want to encourage mitigation because,
right, yeah,
you know, sometimes some people would be happy to have the money and
right.
that doesn't save any trees.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and like yesterday, yeah, the guy from the developer made it sound like, oh, yeah, we've listened to you, we hear you, we're willing to work with you. This
Yeah,
is
we're
what
gonna
gonna do, save 10 to 20 trees, yeah. So, all right. All right, thank you, Pat.
Oh, thank you.
I just wanted to give a brief Hanson Farm update. We're not really very involved in this at this point, but I did, have a conversation with Bob Hanson when I was out at the farm a month or so ago, and I think I may have reported on this, that he was just disturbed that there hadn't been much action on the project. And Michael Dutton, the town manager, did send out a timeline subsequent to that because he had heard from Bob also. And one of the things that he had was that community outreach and support. The responsible parties for that would be the Open Space Committee, the Community Preservation Committee, and the Town Manager's Office. And I sought clarification as to what he thought we might do for, what kind of outreach and support, what kind of community support we're looking for. And there really wasn't anything at this time. So I just wanted to satisfy myself that there wasn't something we should be doing. And really, this is kind of out of our hands. Obviously, we're very strongly in supportive of it, but really it's really a community preservation committee project at this point. I mean, and the town manager. The town manager is getting the appraisal of the property scheduled, and the community preservation committee will be paying for that, as I understand it. So all of the administrative discussion is going to go on at the CPC meetings. Maureen, you missed the last one, I think, right? And I'm not sure they even had a quorum. Do you know if they met without, when the month you were here?
I don't know. I haven't even looked up. I've been away and
Yeah, I knew you were away, but because I
away
was
for
talking
quite a
to
while.
Carlton someplace, and I said I knew you were out of town, and he said,
Mhm.
oh, I don't know if we're gonna have a quorum then, and I didn't see a recording of them on the town website, so it may be that they didn't meet. But anyhow, I just wanted to let you know that it's still in process. And I mean, really what's driving it is there are certain deadlines for applying for grants that's gonna be when they have to get a submission into the state is probably what's gonna drive the whole process. But anyway,
I thought I saw on the minutes for the meeting they were going to have that, and I could be wrong about this, because I read it the other day, that that they weren't expecting that to be done until spring.
yes,
Anything,
I think that's right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, what they're showing on this timeline is, the survey's done, that the appraisal will take place, well, September to November this year. I don't know if that's happened yet or not. And then there would be a negotiation of a purchase and sale agreement, environmental reviews, CPC would vote in February on the application for the money involved. The town has to go to town council. And then it has to be there's something, the MVP grant application. I don't know what that stands for. I assume that's a state grant. Anyway, they show a closing date of September to December 2024 of the project being complete. I suspect that's optimistic, but it's what they're working under at this point. So anyway, any questions about that, anybody? No, okay. All right, the chapter 61 properties, Lauren sent me the list of the two groups of properties that Michael and Lauren have looked at, and I haven't looked at it in any depth, and I'm not sure what the next step is. I know when I did talk with, I think I mentioned this the last time, with Wildlands Trust, and they are looking at some properties down in that area. What I want to do next is I'm going to contact the conservation agent in Middleborough, because she is the one that's working on that project, I guess, and I wanted to ask her whether she saw any Bridgewater adjacent properties like the one you had pointed out, Mike, that might be that something we might pursue. So, and then I know there were other people that I needed to talk to in town, like Bob Hanson or David Hanson, about the one of the properties over off of 104. And anyway, I haven't done it yet, so at some point I will. Either Michael or Lauren, do you have any questions about that or anything you want to add, or?
No.
Right. I mean, I guess the next thing we could do, now that I think about it, those were the open space properties adjacent, the chapter 61 properties adjacent to open space. There were other chapter 61 properties. So maybe, Lauren, have you checked those to see how whether a lot of them are consistent with the list you made before, or whether some of them are gone?
Yeah, so when I went through those, the changes to the list were minimal. It was more like things had come off the list because they, like had been either, sort of gone through some preservation or just sold or whatever. So there wasn't like a lot of new things on there. And so I think the ones that are adjacent to things that are already open space, plus have the like habitat or marshlands, are the ones that like sort of are at the top of the list. So there's ones that have features like streams or marshlands or whatever local habitat that aren't touching, but they're all different sizes and in parts of the town. So
all right, well, I just focus on what you've done then, because those are definitely the most important, and I'm already behind on it, so there's no point in expanding the list. Let me do what I need to do with those. So, okay.
I mean, I think the one thing that like, I didn't get to go to the town that like community imagining economic development thing workshop. So I don't know if we were going to talk about like, or if you've already talked about that at any other meetings, because it was after your last meeting. So I guess the only thing to sort of think about is, are there open spaces that are sort of in the areas that they're talking about, like moving the train station and all that?
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's interesting. I don't know.
I asked a question while you brought that up.
Mhm.
The plan for the hotel, you know, the engineer referred to all their open space that they have there. And I know that open space, what is the purpose of that? I mean, is it for the public to use? Because it's all wetlands. I don't,
you know,
it's not usable for anything and it's actually protected because it is wetlands. So, but he's calling it open space.
Pat, I think what you're referring to is, like, is it that, the planning board regulations that require for larger projects? Is
Yeah,
that what- Yeah, and what do they say about open space? What are the requirements?
well, it was in the previous zoning as well, that there is a open space requirement, but
Okay.
I don't know if it's supposed to be
Yeah, so,
utilized.
but it's not any more specific than that in the
Right.
zoning regs. Yeah, okay.
So
So,
you,
yeah. I
you
mean,
don't know.
there is open space, and open space doesn't have to be publicly accessible to make it worthwhile, as we well know. I mean, wetlands are worthwhile whether somebody can use them or not.
Mm, I guess it qualifies, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Doesn't,
but, you know, whether what was meant was that they would be setting aside additional open space for public access or public use, or beyond what they couldn't build on anyway. But it's not
True.
really clear, you know.
true, it's private
And
property.
don't they have some trails? Didn't they put that whole area, doesn't it have some trails that they put in with part of that original development? Around Lake Shore, are there trails?
I don't think so.
Did
I
you
mean,
say
there's some like, I think there's some like dirt trails like in between buildings and stuff that may have been there before.
Oh,
But
okay.
there are some sidewalks, I think, that connect some of the office buildings.
Oh, all right.
I don't know if I call them trails though.
Yeah, for some reason I thought like you know, off of the parking lots and stuff, like within the wooded area around some of those buildings, there was something that they called a trail, like a walking trail or something, but you know, it could have just been connecting. Yeah, I don't know. So, all right.
I
I
don't
mean,
know
it
either.
seems like a just development of that size, that's what you would have, you know, that you would put some kind of just recreational
Right.
circumference, you know, just where people could go out and walk in the wetlands or adjacent to the wetlands and the woods and stuff, and I thought maybe they did, but apparently not, so. And
That's
then
a-
given the tight squeeze they have, putting as much as they possibly can in that, what's available,
Hmm.
they're not thinking about that, so.
So like at the Perkins area, I mean, I'm sure there's supposed to be open space there as well. So we'll have to see what's on that plan.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point, that to try to find out what the intent of that ruling is. Is it to just have open space, period? Or is it open space for public use? So,
Yeah.
Hmm.
trails and whatnot, but it'd be
Yeah.
interesting. Who made that ruling? Was it somebody in the town or is it a state ruling?
I have no idea. I mean, this is the zoning reg, so this would have been adopted by the town. Whether there was any requirement in state regs for those provisions to be in town regs, I have no idea.
It's like any regulation, they put it in and then there's no real
Right.
resolution
No
afterwards.
bite to it. Yeah,
It's like I was telling, probably Eileen, we have a requirement for solar on the roofs now. But there's no requirement to activate it. So in
They only
order,
have to make them solar ready, and that's what they're over at the NIP project. They're making the roof solar ready, but they're not gonna put solar on it.
is this on all new buildings or
Yeah,
just
this is
office
on new
buildings?
buildings, yeah. Yeah.
even like some builds their own home, they have to have solar?
Oh, no, not homes, no.
That
homes
has-
don't. No,
that hasn't been enacted yet, but
no,
it would be a good thing.
yeah.
Well, again, who made this ruling?
It was a state regulation, but
Oh,
the
it's a
town,
state, Okay,
The town
Yeah, I
has,
think it was a state regulation, if you wanted to be eligible for certain grants, you had to
That's
change
green
your
grants
zoning
probably.
regs to, yeah.
the town has to accept it, but we
Yeah.
haven't done that yet.
Yeah, so
interesting.
that goes through the energy committee, I know they've been the ones. who
That's
have,
right.
um,
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, getting back to the hotel proposal. So yesterday, was the third public hearing on that. Melissa and Pat were, there, and along with other people from the Lake Nippernicket Action Task Force. They both provided testimony again, excellent testimony, I might add. Pat, your comments were really good.
Thank you.
Melissa's
They-
as always, but
Ignored.
yeah, ignored. Um, but yeah, you need to hire an attorney to move that one forward. Anyway, but they didn't close the hearing. There were enough issues raised that at least they haven't closed the hearing.
Right.
It looks like what's gonna happen is, the hotel will be approved. There doesn't seem to be any indication that MIPA is going to disapprove it, which they can't really do, but it doesn't sound like they're gonna be imposing any conditions that are gonna make it unpalatable to the developer. They don't have their final MIPA approval yet, but they sound confident. I don't know if that's, they say they've been talking with MIPA and the developer has submitted their response, their supplemental environmental impact statement to MIPA. And then now MIPA we have the opportunity to comment. So I'd like to get a motion for the Open Space Committee to review the supplemental response to MIPA from the Lake Nip proponents and submit comments as appropriate. I have no idea what, I mean, we might just repeat some we've said before. Given some of the discussions that have taken place, we could particularly maybe rely on the letter that Nicole had drafted about the different ways to reduce the impact of drainage and more state-of-the-art eco-friendly wastewater treatment and stuff like that. We could resubmit that and add what other comments. So that's one, and then the other is that the next step is to go to the Conservation Commission, and we did discuss this at our last meeting, and that was just the reference I was making in the minutes that we talked about, that we will submit comments. But I'd like a motion now to that effect also, that the Open Space Committee should submit comments to the Conservation Commission relating to the Lake Nip proposal. We don't know when I don't know when they're gonna meet now, because they were scheduled to do this on the 24th, but the Community and Economic Development Department is saying that they want to make sure that the planning board has finished its deliberations before it goes to Concom. So the planning board is now, meeting November 1st, was it?
Right.
Yeah. So I assume that the Concom October 24th meeting will now be pushed off. Pat and Melissa, have you heard anything to that effect? No.
For
Yeah.
sure, but I think you're probably right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So. All right, first, can I have a motion? We can probably cover these in one motion. To submit comments to both MIPA and to the Concom.
I'll do the motion.
All right, Michael,
I can second it.
Lauren? Excuse me. Oh.
Yeah, I'm in favor.
All right, so am I, it's unanimous. And the Lake Nip, it's the, November 6th is the deadline, is that correct? Yeah, okay, and then the Concom deadline, we don't know yet, but it could get extended. All right. Look for, I'll probably be sending draft letters around at some point for you all to look at before we submit them, so just keep your eyes open. All right, the last item, the parks information on the town website, we've really kind of talked about that already, I guess. I was hoping we would be able to show it, but as Josh said at the beginning, it's not there yet, but we have hope. And let's see. Oh, okay, that was, all right, I missed that. I was just looking in the chat room. You're back now, Mike, so. All right, so I guess that's it. There's nothing else to add about that. I think maybe what I'll do under the minutes, on the parks information, I think I'll include the discussion we had about the Facebook, doing some kind of a Facebook. And I think what I'll do, Michael, on that is, I will mention that to Josh and maybe have him talk to you about whatever, you being the contact for whatever needs to be done to get that created.
Yeah, I can do it. And we can very easily, if people have Facebook accounts, they can also be added as administrators. So
Right.
if you have one, you can be added as well. So you
Yeah,
can at
I
least
do
see
have
the
one, but I don't want to be administrator.
Got it. Okay. Cool.
Okay. In fact, I don't even want to look at it, but I suppose I'll have to. All right. Anything else for the agenda? Anything anybody wants to talk about? Nope. All right. Motion to adjourn? I make a motion
I'll
to adjourn.
motion.
All right, it's unanimous. We
Yep.
are adjourned. It is 7:55 PM. All right, thank you, everybody. See you next.
Thank you.
time.
Thank
Good
you.
Thank
evening.
you.
All right. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone. Bye.